Last weekend, I was with Archbishop Alexander celebrating the 10th anniversary of our mission parish in Alliance, Ohio, St. Nikolai Evgicha and South Canaan. And in his sermon last week, Archbishop Alexander made a very interesting observation that I wanted to share with you today. Last Sunday was Cheesefare Sunday, the last day for eating meat before Lent. This Sunday is Cheesefare Sunday, the last Sunday for dairy and eggs before we begin the full fast on Monday. And Cheesefare Sunday is also the day that we commemorate the Last Judgment. And the gospel reading for the day is from Matthew 25, when the Lord returns and divides people up, his sheep on the right and goats on the left. And to both he says the same thing. I was hungry, I was thirsty, I was sick in prison, and you either to the sheep you cared for me, and to the goats and you did not care for me. And they say to the Lord, when did we ever see you hungry, thirsty, sick, in prison, and either care for you or not care for you? And Jesus says to both, anytime you did this to the least of my brethren, you did it to me. Archbishop Alexander said that how this ties into Lent is because part of what we do when we fast is we use this as an opportunity to increase our almsgiving, our acts of mercy. Because fasting involves consuming foods that are less expensive, we don't eat meat, and we know how expensive meat is now, so we have money left over, at least we should. We should also be controlling our portions, and again, that means we consume less, and therefore we should have more funds left over. Archbishop Alexander's point was that with these funds we are saving by eating more simply, we then have the opportunity to care more for those who are in need. So what we save is not to be hoarded, but to be shared with others. And in this way, we see how fasting helps us in the two dimensions of the spiritual life. There's a vertical dimension to our spiritual life as we draw closer to God, and there's a horizontal dimension as well as we draw closer to our neighbor. And this, of course, connects to the two great commandments, love God and love your neighbor. Through fasting, we are able to pray more effectively, more attentively, and therefore increasing our relationship with God. And through fasting, we have the resources necessary to care for others, therefore also helping us in our love for our neighbor. So the Christian life has these two elements, vertical and horizontal, and our fasting helps in both of them. But then let's also pay attention to this. A vertical element to our Christian life, loving God, a horizontal element to our Christian life, loving our neighbor. Vertical and horizontal. In other words, the entire life of a Christian is shaped like a cross.